In my second chance at life, I didn't choose Sophia Sterling again. Instead, I married her elegant, untouchable cousin. Everyone who knew our history was stunned. After all, Sophia and I had been childhood sweethearts for 20 years. I had spoiled her like a princess, swearing on bended knee that I would marry no one else. Yet, in my past life, on our wedding night, she doused me with a bucket of ice water. Her brow furrowed in disgust. "You're like an animal in heat. It's repulsive. I'm looking for a spiritual connection. Don't touch me with your filthy hands and mouth because I was so deeply in love." I agreed to her terms for a sexless marriage. It wasn't until I found her locked diary that I discovered pages filled with her secret infatuation for my best friend. Even as a married woman, she wanted to save her precious first time for him. This time I decisively stepped aside to let them be together. But now, it was Sophia who grabbed my hand, panicked, demanding through her tears how I could have changed my mind. Chapter 1. After finalizing the details of the marriage alliance and leaving the Sterling family mansion, I ran right into Sophia, who had just rushed back. The moment she saw me, a thick wave of disgust washed over her exquisitely beautiful face. "Sincere, Vance, I never knew you could be so despicable. You waited until I was gone to pressure my parents and force me into this marriage. If the house staff hadn't told me you'd shown up with a convoy of 10 cars, delivering extravagant engagement gifts, I, the bride-to-be, would have been the last to know." Her gaze felt like a physical blow, a sharp pang in my chest. This was the woman I had loved my entire life, but it had always been one-sided. If that was the case, I wouldn't waste her time in this life, and I certainly wouldn't debase myself again. "You're mistaken. The woman I'm marrying isn't you." Hearing this, Sophia just smirked, a look of pure contempt on her face. "You don't even bother making your lies believable. You brought a 10-car motorcade of gifts to the Sterling estate, and you dare say you're not here to marry me? Besides, everyone in Chicago's high society knows you, Sincere Vance, made a grand public vow that you'd marry no one but me. Are you going to break your word? Aren't you afraid of a little karma?" The memory made me pause. When I made that vow, my world had revolved around her. But Sophia, standing right beside me, was probably wishing for a long and happy life with my so-called best friend Mason. The vow I made in my past life, I had already honored. It had nothing to do with this one. I spoke calmly. My conscience is clear. What do I have to be afraid of? If karma is coming for anyone, it won't be for me. Sophia reacted as if I'd stepped on her tail, her voice suddenly shrill. "What's that supposed to mean, Sincere? Who are you saying has a guilty conscience?" I had no desire to explain further. I was about to ask her to move when the main door of the mansion opened and her mother peeked out. "Oh, Sophia, you're back. Perfect timing. We have some wonderful news to share with you." Sophia cut her off with an impatient wave. "It's fine, Mom. You don't have to say it. I already know what it is." Her mother paused, glancing at me, likely assuming I'd already filled Sophia in. "Well, as long as you know. I was worried you might be upset." After all, her mother had also assumed that I would naturally choose Sophia for the marriage alliance. Sophia clearly thought the same. She let out a cold snort, her words laced with resentment. Sincere made such a huge public spectacle of it, making sure everyone knew. He was betting on the fact that our family, for the sake of Grandpa's reputation, wouldn't dare return the gifts. How could I dare be upset? I'll just have to hold my nose and accept my fate. Just as she finished speaking, her phone rang. The moment she saw the caller ID, her attention shifted completely. She missed her mother murmuring, "What are you talking about? Accept your fate. The one getting married is your cousin, Victoria." Sophia answered the call. Hearing Mason complain about a headache and having no one to look after him, she didn't even bother going inside. She turned to leave immediately. Before she left, she shot a warning at me. "If it weren't for you making a scene, I wouldn't be abandoning Mason while he's sick. If anything happens to him, you'll be held fully responsible. And don't you dare expect me to show up at the wedding. She wasn't even a bridesmaid. Her presence was irrelevant. But one thing was strange. In our past life, I couldn't say for sure if Sophia and Mason had been intimate, but on the surface, they always kept a respectable distance. They never crossed any lines. Why were they suddenly so close now? Could it be that Sophia was reborn too? Chapter 2. As I watched her retreating figure, I was lost in thought. That evening, my father unexpectedly called me into his study. He spoke with a heavy heart. "Sincere, son. I know you've chased after that Sophia girl since you were kids. Are you absolutely sure you don't want to marry her?" I just smiled. "Dad, Sophia isn't right for me. I stopped loving her a long time ago." "Good, that's good." My father let out a strange sigh of relief. "This afternoon I saw her with my own eyes. Her and that best friend of yours, Mason. They were making out as they walked into a boutique hotel, shameless. Doing something like that in broad daylight." I froze for a moment. It was just as I'd suspected. In this life, Sophia didn't want to miss her chance with Mason, so she was willing to sleep with him even without any official status. I recalled my wedding night with her in our past life, the bucket of ice-cold water crashing down on me. A shiver ran through me. I looked up and met her eyes, which were filled with disgust and resistance. "Sincere, can you please not act like an animal in heat? Just because we're married, does that mean you can touch me whenever you want? You touch me one more time and I swear to God I'll report you for marital rape." I had thought she just wasn't psychologically prepared, that perhaps I had been too forward. But when I reached for her hand to comfort her, ready to apologize, she snatched it away. She scrubbed at her wrist where I'd touched her, as if it were contaminated with something filthy. "Do you have any idea how disgusting your touch feels to me, Sincere?" My mind went blank. The woman I loved had called me disgusting on our wedding night. Remembering it now, I expected the same gut-wrenching pain. But to my surprise, I felt calm. It's true what they say, no love, no burden. For the next few days, I focused on wedding preparations. The venue, the guest list, all the decisions were left to me. The marriage contract had been arranged by our grandfathers when they were still alive. I was the sole heir to the Vance family. But the Sterlings had more than just Sophia in this generation. The woman I was actually marrying, Victoria Sterling, Sophia's cousin, was still abroad. From what I remembered, she was an incredibly beautiful and gentle woman who, in my past life, had never married. I was surprised she had agreed so readily to this arranged marriage with me. I let out a long breath. Regardless, I had to make the wedding perfect. I couldn't let her down. Even if there was no love, a lifetime of mutual respect would be a fine outcome. I ran into Sophia again at a high-end shopping mall. Her friends saw me and lit up with gossipy excitement. "Sophia, isn't that your lapdog fiancé? He must have come looking for you. He sticks to you like glue. Doesn't that just creep you out?" Sophia flew into a rage. "Sincere, Vance, are you stalking me? Don't think that just because we're engaged now, you can do whatever you want." I clutched the bag in my hand and stated coolly, "Sophia, I'm not your fiancé, and I'm not stalking you." She crossed her arms and sneered. "The news of our family's merger is all over Chicago, and you're still playing hard to get? Have you no shame? Besides, if you're not stalking me, what are you doing here?" Her eyes fell to the bag in my hand, and her smirk deepened. "What's that? The suit for the wedding?" The words had barely left her mouth when she flung her cup of iced latte at me. The white suit inside the bag was instantly stained with a large, ugly brown splotch. My own clothes weren't spared either. Laughter erupted around me as I stood there, a mess. Sophia lifted her chin proudly. "That suit is hideous. I don't like it. If you don't get a new one that I approve of, I'm not walking down that aisle with you." This suit was a custom piece she had helped me pick out at this very bespoke tailor 6 months ago. Back then, I had genuinely dreamed of the day I would wear it to marry her. She was doing this purely to humiliate me. Sophia was waiting for me to grovel and apologize as I always did. But instead, under her incredulous gaze, I walked over to the nearest trash can and dropped the entire bag inside. Chapter 3. I was wondering what to do with this suit. Now I know. I looked directly into Sophia's eyes. I don't want anything that's been tainted. The color drained from her face, her lips parting as if to say something, but I couldn't be bothered to look at her for another second. I turned and walked away. Sophia's friends were still stirring the pot. Whoa, the lapdog actually has a temper. Looks like you haven't trained him well enough, Sophia. Just wait. At the reception in 3 days, he'll be on his knees begging for your forgiveness. Unless he doesn't want to get married, but what are the chances of that? Ha ha ha. In 3 days, Victoria would be back from overseas. The reception was being held specifically to formally announce our engagement. I went to my art studio. I never had many hobbies, but I had a knack for painting, winning several awards over the years. A single piece of mine could fetch a 7-figure price at auction. I once painted countless portraits of Sophia to win her affection. Now I wanted to create something for Victoria as a gift. Since I didn't know what she looked like now, I let my inspiration guide me and painted a snowscape. I was extremely pleased with the result. I took a photo and posted it on my social media with the caption, "Hope she likes it." I pulled an all-nighter to finish it. The next morning, my eyes were bloodshot. I went downstairs for a quick breakfast, and when I returned, my studio had 2 uninvited guests, Sophia and Mason. The studio was a disaster. My fists clenched in anger. Who let you in here? What gives you the right to touch my things? Mason looked terrified and immediately apologized. I'm so sorry, Sincere. I just wanted to borrow your studio for a bit. It's my fault I'm so clumsy. That's how this mess happened. Just borrowing it? Would that involve splattering paint all over the floor and walls? Even my meticulously crafted snowscape was utterly ruined. A huge X was smeared across it in red paint. It was a deliberate provocation. I couldn't take it anymore. My fist connected with Mason's face. Sophia shrieked and rushed to his defense. That's enough. Sincere, who do you think you are, hitting him? I was starting to think you'd changed, but you're still the same disgusting person. You've always been. Your paintings were always meant to impress me anyway. Mason didn't mean to do it. If it's ruined, it's ruined. I don't care, so why are you throwing a fit? Mason's family isn't well off like yours. He doesn't have a beautiful studio like this. He just wanted to borrow it for a while. Do you have to be so selfish and petty? He's supposed to be your best friend. I watched as Sophia shielded Mason with her own body, a bitter smile twisting my lips. I don't have a friend that shameless. Besides, whoever said this painting was for you? Stop pretending. You posted that on your social media specifically for me to see, didn't you? Sophia's expression was a mixture of smug satisfaction and triumph. She pouted deliberately and continued in a commanding tone. To be honest, I don't like snowscapes. I like maple leaves. If you paint me a new picture of maple leaves right now, I'll consider forgiving you. Mason, maple leaves. Her little scheme was painfully obvious. I took a deep breath and told them both to get out. Sophia left, pulling Mason along, but not before adding, "Fine. Sincere. You stay here and paint. I'm going to take Mason to lunch. I'll be back later to check on your progress." The studio was quiet again. A few moments later, a text from Mason arrived. It was a photo of them at a high-end seafood restaurant. Sophia, who was usually so obsessed with cleanliness, was meticulously peeling shrimp for him with her bare hands. I crouched down and slowly picked up the ruined snowscape. It was smeared with dirty footprints. I hadn't eaten since yesterday, and my blood sugar was crashing. I felt dizzy and sick. My mind drifted back to the past life. I had a severe flu once, and my throat was sore for days afterward. I asked Sophia to peel a pear for me. She threw the fruit knife at me, narrowly missing my face. She didn't even look at me as she said coldly, "I'm not your maid or your nanny. Can't you do a simple thing like that yourself?" Are your hands broken? I forced myself to my feet and started cleaning the studio. Thankfully, most of the ruined pieces were just drafts. My finished works were stored elsewhere. As for what was left, the portraits of Sophia, I tore them to shreds. Watching her face fragment into pieces on the paper was like seeing her place in my heart, which had long since crumbled to dust. Sophia, you wanted to check on my progress? Go ahead. I hope you're satisfied with what you find. Your portraits, your presence, your love. I don't want any of it. Chapter 4. When I didn't reply, Mason decided to send something more provocative. The background was clearly a hotel room. Sophia, her clothes in disarray, was straddling him, her cheeks flushed and her eyes hazy. This version of Sophia was a complete stranger to me. Another photo showed a white bedsheet stained with a single spot of red. Bro, you didn't know, did you? Your fiancée couldn't wait to give me her first time before your wedding. If you can't keep your own woman, you can't blame a buddy for not holding back. I looked at the photos, feeling nothing but disgust. Out of sight, out of mind. I was about to turn off my phone when it buzzed again. It was a notification that Victoria Sterling had accepted my friend request. I breathed a sigh of relief. I was trying to figure out what to say as an opener, when Victoria herself took the initiative. She liked my social media post. A message popped up in our chat. It's beautiful. She'll love it. I paused, then typed back. I painted it for you. It was just a shame I hadn't been able to protect it. I couldn't give it to her in person anymore. The night of the reception arrived quickly. Backstage, I heard a strange noise. The curtain of a dressing room was shaking violently, and through a gap I could see the side of Sophia's face. My feet stopped moving instinctively. Though I already knew she and Mason had slept together, seeing it with my own eyes, especially at such an important event, was still a shock. The irony was laughable. Who was the real animal in heat, acting on impulse anytime, anywhere? Sensing my presence, Sophia's eyes flickered with a momentary panic. But in the next second, she became even more audacious, as if deliberately trying to provoke me. 20 minutes later, she emerged, her clothes straightened, and found me by the restrooms. I glanced at her. Finished? That was fast. He's not much of a performer, is he? Mason, who had followed her, flushed red and was about to retort when Sophia waved him off. She looked at the gift box in my hand and scoffed. I knew it. You've just been jealous and throwing a tantrum these past few days. But really, a man should be more magnanimous. Is that a gift to apologize to me? Let me see it. She reached for the box. I sidestepped her. You're thinking too much. It's not for you. Disappointment filled her eyes. It's come to this, and you're still playing games with me. We're about to get married, sincere. This isn't funny anymore. I frowned. It seemed she had never once considered the possibility that she wasn't the one I intended to marry. Then tell me, what would be funny? I shot back. Sophia actually gave it serious thought. Since you saw, I won't hide it from you, she began. Sincere, I will marry you as you wish to maintain the alliance between our families. But don't you dare think you can touch a single hair on my head. The man I love is Mason, and I will only ever have his children. The child can be raised under your name, which will satisfy both our families. It's a bit unfair to Mason, I know, but it's the only way. I almost laughed out loud at her sanctimonious and utterly shameless proposal. Are you done? If you're done, I'm going in. The reception is about to start. Soon enough, Sophia would realize just how ridiculous she was. Seeing that I didn't object, she nodded with satisfaction. Good, as long as you agree. One more thing I should remind you of, she added. My cousin Victoria will be here tonight. She's the most brilliant of our generation. Even my own parents dote on her and treat her with more respect than her seniority would command. When we walked from the backstage area into the main hall, the reception was already underway. Beside me, Sophia suddenly seemed to remember something. She turned to me, her expression tinged with suspicion. By the way, when did you meet my cousin? Why did she like your social media post? I hesitated for a moment. Because she liked the painting, I guess. What does it matter if she likes it? It was painted for me, and I don't like it, Sophia huffed. My cousin is just too kind-hearted. She probably just felt sorry for you and gave it a pity-like. Let her think what she wanted. As I started to walk towards the center of the hall, Sophia called out again. Take my arm as we enter when I didn't move. She frowned and forcibly linked her arm with mine. Don't be difficult at a time like this. We're getting married. You have to at least look the part in front of our families and guests. You should be cherishing this moment. You won't get many more chances to touch my hand like this. I was about to pull my arm away when a stunning figure gracefully entered through the main doors. Victoria Sterling, dressed in an elegant, perfectly tailored evening gown, captured the attention of the entire room as she moved through the crowd heading straight towards me. Chapter 5. Victoria, you're here. Even someone as arrogant as Sophia seemed more subdued and respectful in front of her cousin. I took the opportunity to pull my arm free. Sophia just shot me a dark look but didn't dare say anything. All eyes were on us. Victoria's calm gaze shifted from where my arm had been linked with Sophia's, a flicker of something unreadable in her eyes. It's been a long time. Her voice was soft, without a subject, making it unclear who she was speaking to. I didn't assume it was for me. Sophia, however, eagerly took the bait. It really has. You've been abroad for what, 7 or 8 years? What brings you back so suddenly? Oh, I know you came back especially for my wedding, didn't you? I knew you still cared about me. Victoria raised a delicate eyebrow. Your wedding? Yes, mine and Sincere's. Isn't that what tonight's reception is for? Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence, cousin. Meeting Victoria's questioning gaze, I felt an awkward urge to explain. Just then, Sophia's parents called us over. Let's go say hello to your uncle and aunt first, Victoria said, her tone unhurried and composed. Her graceful demeanor momentarily captivated me. With everyone gathered, and after a few pleasantries, Sophia's father raised his glass to address the guests. Thank you all for coming. Tonight I have a joyous announcement to make. As many of you know, the Sterling and Vance families are soon to be united. This next waltz is dedicated to the happy couple, our future bride and groom. The lights in the hall dimmed and a beautiful waltz began to play. Sophia extended her hand towards me, the back of it facing up, her eyes casting a look of charitable pity in my direction. She seemed utterly convinced I would ask her to dance. At that moment, Mason unexpectedly burst into the venue. He didn't have an invitation and had only been allowed backstage because of Sophia. He was pale, his eyes red-rimmed as he looked at Sophia, his voice trembling. As he called out, "Sophia!" Sophia's heart immediately melted. She rushed over to him, ignoring her parents' thunderous expressions, and forcibly pulled him into the main hall. "Mom, Dad, let me introduce you. This is Mason." Her father snapped, "I don't care if he's Mason or Jason. I don't recall having a son." Mason's eyes grew even redder. Sophia's lip quivered in sympathy. "Dad, Mason is Sincere's best friend. He's also the man who saved my life." Now she was willing to call me a friend again. A scornful smile touched my lips. As for the saving her life part, it happened 3 years ago, during a post-graduation trip to the coast. Mason and I were college roommates. His family wasn't wealthy and I'd never flaunted my own fortune, often taking him on trips with me. I told everyone he was like a brother to me, so no one would look down on him. Sophia had insisted on coming along on that trip. I couldn't say no. She ended up getting caught in a rip current. I risked my life to pull her back to shore. By the time we made it to the beach, we had both passed out from inhaling too much water. When I woke up, the way Sophia looked at Mason had completely changed, because when she came to, the first thing she saw was Mason giving her CPR. The sudden rush of her heartbeat in that moment convinced her she had fallen in love with him. She became adamant that it was Mason who had saved her all along. No matter how I tried to explain later, she refused to believe me. Sincere, I saw you. You were passed out. Just because you couldn't do it, you don't have to pretend to be a hero, okay? I never realized you were the type to lie just to take credit for things. The look in her eyes when she said that was so foreign, colder and more piercing than the ocean itself. Sophia and I had been childhood sweethearts. It wasn't as if our relationship was built on nothing, that I would willingly be her lapdog for so many years for no reason. Once, she used to call me Sincere in the sweetest voice. She would blow on my scrapes after a game, her eyes filling with tears of sympathy for me. More than once, she had said she wanted to be my wife when we grew up. Childish words. A silly joke to her, but one that I, like a fool, had taken to heart. Chapter 6. It was after that incident that Sophia's attitude towards me changed completely. In my past life, I was stubborn, trying to win back her affection. This time, I had given up. Back in the reception hall, hearing Sophia introduce Mason as my friend and her savior, her father couldn't say much more. He just shot me a troubled look. When he saw my indifferent expression, he decided not to intervene. He knew, after all, that my fiancée wasn't Sophia. The waltz continued. Sophia, having invited Mason for a dance, glanced at me out of the corner of her eye and said breezily, "Don't mind us. It's just one dance. I'll dance with you after this." I ignored her. Taking a deep breath, I turned to Victoria Sterling and extended my hand. I bowed slightly, my head lowered in a formal invitation. I didn't dare meet her eyes. My palm was sweating from nerves. In less than a second, a soft hand rested in mine. Only then did I look up and meet Victoria's gentle gaze. Sophia and I— "It's not what you think," I finally had the chance to explain. "I know. I trust you." As we danced to the crescendo of the music, I felt a burning gaze on my back. Sophia, with her arms around Mason, was staring daggers at me. Her expression was pure fury. She clearly couldn't believe I hadn't waited for her, and had instead asked Victoria to dance. As we passed each other, Sophia hissed in my ear, "What do you think you're doing? Are you so mad at me that you're now using my cousin to make me jealous?" I pretended not to hear, twirling Victoria in a graceful spin. Sophia's face grew darker. She stumbled, stepping on Mason's feet several times. Hearing him yelp in pain, she finally tore her gaze away from me and apologized softly. "Are you okay, Mason?" "It's my fault. I wasn't paying attention." "It's okay, Sophia. Just being able to dance with you in public is more than I could ever dream of. I wouldn't dare ask for anything else." His feigned humility only made Sophia feel more protective of him. She bit her lip, a plan clearly forming in her mind. The music ended. The dancers stopped. Sophia's father began to applaud, ready to resume his speech about the marriage alliance. Sophia tugged on her father's sleeve and said, steeling herself, "Dad, there's no rush for the wedding. Sincere and I have decided we're still young. Postponing it for 6 months or a year won't be a problem." As she spoke, she kept shooting me desperate looks, urging me to play along. I smiled faintly and addressed her father. "Uncle, I have no objections to the wedding date. Let's proceed as originally planned." "Sincere, you Sophia didn't get to finish." Victoria nodded in agreement. "I have no objections either." "Excellent, since you both agree. We will proceed with the original date," her father boomed. Sophia panicked. "I have an objection, Dad. Why aren't you listening to me?" Her father lost his patience. "We are discussing your cousin's and Sincere's wedding. This has nothing to do with you. Why do you keep interrupting?" His words hung in the air. Sophia stared at him, stunned. She looked as if she hadn't heard correctly, her voice trembling. "What? Dad, say that again. Whose wedding to Sincere? Isn't it obvious?" Her father shot her a look. "Your cousin Victoria's wedding. To Sincere. It has nothing to do with you." "No, that's not true." "Dad, you're lying to me, right?" Sophia's head whipped towards me, her eyes pleading for confirmation. "Sincere. Say something the person you're supposed to marry is me, right? They've made a mistake, haven't they? I didn't need to answer. Victoria had already linked her arm with mine, a faint smile on her lips. It was a gentle smile, yet it carried a sharp, warning edge. No, it is indeed sincere, and I. Sophia, from now on, you should remember to call him your brother-in-law. Don't be so disrespectful. Chapter 7. For the rest of the reception, Sophia was completely out of it. She even left Mason standing alone, ignoring him completely. After it ended, she cornered me in the parking garage, blocking my car. Sincere Vance, you are going to explain to me right now what is going on with you and my cousin. I shrugged. It's exactly what you saw. The wedding is in 2 weeks. Feel free to come, or don't. I don't care. My indifference seemed to be the final straw. Her eyes were bloodshot as she let out a series of cold, sharp laughs. Heh, I don't believe you. This is a trick. You're all ganging up on me. It's because of Mason, isn't it? I know it is. You all look down on him. You want me to break things off. So you're using this to pressure me. I won't fall for it. You said the wedding is in 2 weeks? Fine. Let's see how you hold a wedding when the bride doesn't show up. I just shrugged again as I watched her storm off. When I turned, I saw Victoria standing around the corner, one eyebrow arched, watching me with an amused expression. You heard all that? My dear little cousin has quite the set of lungs. It would be hard not to. I'm sorry you had to see that, I said, running a hand through my hair. It's my fault for not handling things cleanly. I've dragged you into this mess and caused you to be misunderstood. It's fine. Victoria took my hand. We'll be husband and wife soon. What outsiders think doesn't matter. That night, Victoria drove me home. The conversation flowed easily between us. After I got home, we started a video call, as if we couldn't get enough of talking to each other. I hadn't felt this relaxed and happy in a long, long time. Suddenly, another figure burst into the frame on Victoria's end. It was Sophia, her eyes wide with disbelief. Cousin, how could you be on a video call with my fiancé in the middle of the night? Victoria's expression turned icy. Did you not understand what was said at the reception tonight? Sincere is my fiancé now. What's wrong with me video calling him? Sophia looked as if she had suffered a terrible injustice, trembling with rage. Victoria Sterling, I don't care if you're my cousin or how much you've done for the family, you can't be a homewrecker. Shut up. I shot up from my chair on the other end of the call, appalled that Sophia would say something so vile. Sophia, what is wrong with you? Sophia pointed a finger at the screen. Sincere, hang up on her right now and you're never to call her again. Do you hear me? Don't worry, I'll handle this. Victoria gave me a reassuring smile before the screen went black. No matter how many times I tried to call back, there was no answer. Panicked, I drove straight to the Sterling mansion. Sophia's father told me that she and Victoria had gotten into a physical fight in Victoria's room. If the staff hadn't separated them, he said, who knows how badly they would have been hurt. My heart tightened. Is Victoria hurt? Sophia's father stared out at the moon, sighing heavily. Victoria is my brother and sister-in-law's only child. After they died in that car accident, that girl single-handedly propped up half of our family's empire from overseas. I truly admire and care for her. This time Sophia has gone too far. I've already warned her. If she continues to act so willfully, I will have to resort to family discipline. I can't let my brother and sister-in-law down. When I arrived at the hospital, Sophia's eyes lit up. But when she saw me walk right past her without a second glance, heading straight for Victoria, the hope in her eyes died, replaced by a dark, unreadable emotion. Seeing the bandage wrapped around Victoria's wrist, I asked softly, "Does it hurt?" "It doesn't hurt." She leaned her head on my shoulder, her voice a soft, playful whisper. "It just means I probably won't be able to drive for a while. I'll be your driver, and I won't be able to cook for myself. I'll be your chef." At that, Victoria couldn't help but break into a beautiful smile. "You silly man. Are you this nice to everyone? No, I said, my voice firm and earnest. I will only ever be this good to you, and I always keep my promises. The entire time, Sophia's gaze never left us. Mason was right beside her, trying his best to cheer her up, but the corners of her mouth never turned up. Only her eyes, once so bright and proud, were completely red. Chapter 8. The night before the wedding, I received a string of furious texts from Mason. Sincere Vance, you're about to marry Victoria Sterling, so why can't you leave Sophia alone? You already have everything. What's the big deal if you just let me have her? Why do you have to fight me for her? You're a despicable bastard. I wish you'd actually drowned back then. I froze. So on that beach trip all those years ago, the reason I was unconscious for so long was because he never intended to save me at all. I was lucky to have survived. Otherwise, who knows what Mason would be capable of now. Looking at the text, I thought, karma really is a bitch. I sent his own words back to him. If you can't keep your own woman, you can't blame me, can you? Mason was livid. He sent another string of garbled, profanity-laced texts, then just called me directly. I thought for a moment, then answered, Sincere, you animal, what have you done to Sophia? She slept with me so many times. Why is she suddenly obsessed with you again? Did she go to you? I'm warning you, don't you dare touch her. She's my woman, I chuckled. I'm not as classless as you, Mason. Sophia isn't here. And even if she were, standing naked in front of me, I wouldn't give her a second look. Don't worry. Sincere. What did you say? Say that again. I turned to see Sophia emerging from the darkness, her eyes filled with a mixture of fury and disbelief. Hearing her voice, Mason grew frantic on the other end of the line. Sophia? Is that you, Sophia? Why did you go see Sincere? My head hurts so much I feel awful. Sophia, I'm all alone. Can you come back and take care of me? Mason was using his usual pity play. But this time, Sophia didn't rush to his side. Instead, she snatched the phone from my hand and, as if annoyed by the noise, hung up. Sincere, she said, her eyes vulnerable. At the wedding tomorrow, is the person you're marrying really my cousin, and not me? I nodded. That's right. Why are you only telling me now? You've been lying to me this whole time, treating me like an idiot. Do you think this is fun? Sophia gripped my arm tightly. I shook her off. She lunged at me again. After this happened a few more times, my patience wore thin. I pushed her hard and she stumbled and fell to the ground. I looked down at her, my voice merciless. Sophia, I've told you many times. You were the one who was too arrogant and self-deceived to listen. No, I still don't believe it. She sniffled, her voice choked with tears. You loved me so much. In our past life, how could you change? Why did this happen? I watched coldly as Sophia, who had always held her head so high, bowed it low, tears splashing onto the pavement. Reborn, she probably thought she had everything under control. Her experiences in the past life likely gave her the confidence that, no matter how horribly she acted, I would unconditionally forgive her. Too bad she was wrong. If there's nothing else, please leave. I'm getting married tomorrow. You crying outside my house in the middle of the night is inappropriate. It would reflect poorly on my fiancé if word got out. Sophia's nails dug into her palms, the light in her eyes shattering. She might have thought I was concerned for her reputation, but when she heard the end of my sentence, she let out a sad, hollow laugh. Her voice was hoarse as she asked, Sincere, are you absolutely sure? Yes. Is there really no turning back? She got to her feet and slowly approached me. What if I said I'll go with you to pick out a new suit in any style you like? I won't bring anyone else to your studio ever again. And I promise I'll sleep with you after the wedding. I'll let you touch me, and I'll even have your biological child. Would that be enough? What was this? Her concession? Her charity? Sophia, what makes you think any of that would move me? Is there a single thing in that offer that I find attractive? Her face went white. I've already compromised this much. What more do you want? Name your price. Even if you make me see Mason only once a week, I'll agree to it. I scoffed. Don't trouble yourself. You two can see each other every day for all I care. Then what is it that you want? I just want you to stay far away from me. You are seriously disrupting my life with Victoria. You're an eyesore. With that, I left her there to fall apart. She was crying, screaming hysterically into the night. You'll regret this, Sincere. You will definitely regret this. I didn't even look back. Chapter 9. The wedding was a grand affair. Every major figure in Chicago's high society was in attendance. Sophia was a no-show, but I didn't pay it much mind. But just as Victoria and I were about to exchange rings, as the officiant asked, "Do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold for richer or for poorer?" Sophia burst in, wearing a wedding dress. She ignored the shocked murmurs of the crowd and reached her hand out towards me on the stage. "Sincere, I know you don't want this, do you? I've figured it out. You love me and I love you. Love is selfish. It can't be shared. Come with me. From now on, it will be just the two of us, with no one else to bother us." She held her hand out, waiting. She still seemed to expect me to walk off that stage and place the ring, the symbol of love and fidelity, on her finger. Across from me, Victoria, her face veiled in white lace, watched me quietly, silently awaiting my decision. I didn't hesitate for a second. My voice rang out, loud and clear. "I, Sincere Vance, take you, Victoria Sterling, to be my wife. For this lifetime, no. For all of eternity." The ring slid perfectly onto Victoria's finger. I lifted her veil and leaned in to kiss her, treating her like the rarest treasure in the world. Sophia just stared at the scene, her expression blank, her eyes empty. She couldn't form a single word. In the end, security had to forcibly remove her. The dramatic interruption was over, the wedding continued, and we completed the ceremony. Later, I heard that Sophia's father, in a fit of rage, had actually used family discipline on her, showing no mercy despite her being his own daughter. The punishment was severe, but Sophia refused to listen. She was under house arrest, but managed to sneak out. Victoria and I were on a private island for our honeymoon, and she tracked us there. She spent her days loitering in our vicinity, trying to get our attention. I couldn't stand it anymore. I took a picture and sent it to Mason. In the photo, Sophia was in a swimsuit, deliberately striking a seductive pose, trying to entice me. Mason, who had been looking for Sophia everywhere, immediately bought a plane ticket and flew over. "Sophia, what is wrong with you?" he pleaded. "They're already married. You don't have to carry the burden of that family alliance anymore. Why can't you just turn around and look at me? You said you loved me. Will you marry me?" Mason got on one knee and held out a ring woven from grass. "No, I'm sorry, Mason." Sophia shook her head, rejecting him. "I admit I had a brief crush on you, but that was just gratitude because you saved my life. I didn't understand it before. I mistook it for love. Now I see clearly. The person I truly love is Sincere. Even if Sincere wasn't in the picture, there would be no possibility of us getting married." Sophia pushed the grass ring away with a look of disdain. "In the future, don't bring cheap things like this in front of me." Mason's lips trembled. "But Sophia, you used to say that the thought was more precious than money. That was because her intended husband had been me. With the Vance family's backing, she could have remained a carefree heiress. Not like now. She had no real power within her own family. After causing such a huge scandal, even her father wouldn't protect her. She had offended the powerful Victoria Sterling, and while she wouldn't be cast out of the family, her life would be a world away from the glamorous one she was used to. If she married Mason, her standard of living would plummet. Realizing his chance to marry into the Sterling family was gone, Mason's fists clenched so tight his knuckles cracked. "Fine, Sophia. You forced my hand while Sophia was distracted." Mason shoved her off the cliff's edge. "Ah." In her panic, Sophia's hand shot out and grabbed onto his clothes. With two loud splashes, they both plunged into the sea. Sophia felt a jarring pain as she hit the water, swallowing a large mouthful. As she struggled and screamed for help, she caught sight of Mason flailing beside her. He clearly couldn't swim. She suddenly understood. Desperate tears streamed from her eyes, mixing with the salt water. She slowly stopped struggling. Before she sank beneath the waves, she whispered one last thing. "I'm sorry, Sincere." The rescue team eventually arrived and pulled them from the water. They were both in critical condition. Sophia's father used all his connections to save her life, but she was left in a persistent vegetative state, with no hope of ever waking up. As for Mason, no one even came to claim his body. And me? I just held Victoria's hand tighter. In this life, I would only ever protect the one I truly cherished. The end.